talked about this day for a long time, and it's here.
It's time. It's time. Let's go.
Don't leave today disappointed. I'm ready right now. Let's go.
Give me something light a cigarette just so I can breathe.
Welcome to another episode of the Innsbrooke Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host, Shaun Bell, and we are coming live from a new week with new problems. But before we get into Week 8 action, let's touch base on what happened in Week 7. So in Week 7, we had a lot of great matchups, few close games. Let's see what happened. We'll start with our first game, Mr. Ken's Slobberknockers versus Greg's ETN Phone Home. And just as we expected, Mr. Ken jumps to 7-0, ranked number 1 overall, and Greg drops a game after going on his little winning streak there. He's number 13 overall, 2-5, but hey, Greg pushed Mr. Ken to the limits. He won. Mr. Ken won 105-102 in a very, very tight matchup. He won. Mr. Ken had to do a comeback. He won a nail biter. That Monday night game with McCaffrey and Purdy, all those 49ers players, all those Vikings players with Madison. Those points mattered. ETN had another huge week for Greg, but in the end, it didn't really help out too much. Now, Jordan Addison did make it interesting for Greg in the end, but all that matters is that Mr. Ken came out with the win and still remains on top. I like what Greg's got going for him. The Vikings have really started to blossom with Jordan Addison, so maybe that'll continue for him as long as Jay Jetta stays out the field. So congrats, Mr. Ken, on being perfect. Your next matchup was Chubby Chasin' Zach versus the Meme Machine, Jonathan Freebus. Now, Freebus smokes Zach in this one, wins 142-108. Zach is now 3-4, ranked 10th overall, and Jonathan is 5-2, ranked 5 overall. In this matchup, he got a victory, big time over Zach. His streak is now at 4, which is huge. And he continues to go. Bold move with the Tyrod Taylor start. Paid dividends. Scored just as many points almost as Jalen Hurts. Gus Edwards and Jahmyr Gibbs set the tone, having a big week. I thought that was huge. As I'm looking over at Chubby Chasin's running back room here, it looks like a running back room made by LB.
Turn away and slam the door.
With Cam Akers and Najee Harris. Very interesting call, considering he was at the bottom and he decided to make those moves. Tyreek had a big week. DJ Moore had an average week. It's going to be very hard to compete when Gibbs and Edwards are both putting up almost 50 points combined as a pair. So congrats to Freebus on getting his win through a bye week. Your next matchup was That's What CD Said versus Throw Some Debos on It. Another blowout victory. Pawn wins 129-94. As I'm looking over this, Pawn is now 4-3, jumps up to 6, and Wood is slowly falling down. Former champ here really needs to turn it around. I don't know if he needs to make some moves, make some trades, change it up, get some freshness in the locker room. But man, it's really been a struggle bus for him. So Wood goes to 2-5, 12th overall. We're looking at this. Throw some Devos on it. Really beat up, CD said. I don't know. Bye weeks really hurt. AJ Brown is a man right now. Crazy what he's doing. I feel bad for the Titans on this. But that's what CD said is going to have to really figure out some moves to get this roster going back in the right direction, because he's a slow sinking ship. He's like when the Titanic hit that iceberg in the movie, and all the women and children were getting on the lifeboats. And maybe Wood can be that real creepy dude that jumped on and covered himself up with a blanket and get this thing getting back going. Keep himself alive. We'll see. But congrats to Pon on his big victory. Your next matchup was the Huss Samson versus America's Team Hunter. Now, this game was close, 99-93. The Huss pulled it out. Samson is 4-3, ranked 7th overall, and Hunter is 1-6, ranked 15th overall. Now, Hunter's roster is another one that's in a bad way right now. If you're starting Josh Dobbs, you're either a Vol for life or you're bad. Or you're both, which tends to be Hunter right now. So I don't know what it's going to take to get Hunter going back in the right direction. His roster is It's not as solid through and through depth-wise. He's got some guys that should be picking it up, but some injuries really hurt. You know, it's baffling that Deshaun Watson can get negative points and Samson still win this game in a tight one. But also, Travis Kelce probably had the most Taylor Swifty day he could ever have. Congrats to Samson on moving up. Sorry, Hunter, on moving down. Sorry. Your next matchup was Tux's Army versus Tuna Fish Sticks. Logan taking on the undefeated, reigning defending man down there, Tuna Fish Sticks, Eric Wallen. Would he get the win? Yes, he would, but not only would he get the win, he would get it in big fashion, 150 to 107 to move up to an outstanding 2-5. Ranked 11 overall, but this win gets Logan trending in the right direction. He needed that. That was huge. Eric finally suffered a loss.
Look, just because you're repulsive and probably the most annoying person on the planet, and I'm not the only person who thinks so, that doesn't mean I want you to go and kill yourself.
Thanks, Meg. But I was never really planning to jump.
Wasn't gonna jump. You're a phony. Hey, everybody. This guy's a great big phony.
Eric's been playing the long game with some running backs and stuff for a while, and he finally ran out of luck with that room. Big news for Logan was Lamar Jackson went off. He had a great day, dropping just as many points as Pat. That really kind of set the tone. You know, Logan's got to get Eckler going. Eckler's got to get going for him. If Eckler can get moving again, I feel like Logan's team has hope, but it's really going to take a big old slap on the behind for him to get going. As I'm looking over there, bold move starting Damian Williams for Eric there. Wasn't sure. And also Eric's kicker got cut. That's a pain. So congrats, Eric's kicker, for being just the same as all of us dudes in the league, and you'll be sitting at home watching these games just like the rest of us. Your next matchup was very close between A Team Has No Name and Bad News Bears. LB does not get the victory, but Tyler does pick it up 80 to 77 in a tight one. Tyler moves up to 5-2, fourth overall. That's a big deal. And LB 2-5, 14 overall. Tyler came back in this one to nip the Bad News Bears, dropped them into 14th place. I mean, this was a tight game. Riley Patterson had 0 points for Tyler. Elijah Mitchell had negative points for Tyler. Tyler had some big holes that were really hurting him. But then you look on the other side, and LB didn't have some guys that did the same. So, bold move by Cardinals running backs. You don't know who's going to play. It's almost worthless to even start one right now. But the one that set the tone in this one, Mark Andrews, 22 points. Really set the tone for Tyler. Really gave him what he needed. Without Mark Andrews having that week, LB wins, surprisingly. But Mark Andrews, huge week. Congrats to Tyler on his victory. Your next matchup was Stay on the Porch. Taylor versus They Called Me Crazy. Now, would Lauren finally pick up his first win of the season? No, he would not. Taylor would beat him 129 to 93 to move up to 4-3. Taylor is now 8th overall. Taylor's caught some bad breaks, but he's now on a 3-game win streak. He's climbing that ladder slowly, but he's getting there. Lauren's 0-7. Lauren's in stand-up zone. I hope Lauren is practicing in the mirror every day. I would love to know his opening line or two just to kind of get it going. Jonathan Taylor really came back. That's helping Lauren a lot. The biggest thing of this game, I think, that really hurt Lauren is nobody decided to tell anybody that Bijan Robinson didn't feel well. He had a headache. And then they decided not to report it. And then Arthur Smith laughs it off. Well, you know who's not laughing, Arthur? You know who's not laughing? LB. And he was a fan of yours. And now there's this disgust and hatred for you. So I hope you're happy, Arthur. What a stupid name anyways. But yeah, congrats to Taylor on picking this up. Alvin Kamara and Cortland Sutton having big weeks for you. Really set the tone. But yeah, LB's roster, all he needed was a Bijan.
Ha! Gay!
He didn't get that mustard. But congrats again, Taylor. Your last matchup of this week was I'm Just Ken, Joel, taking on AI Not Iverson. Now, Joel picks up the win 139 to 74. Joel is 3rd right now overall in the league. And this hurts Jake. He now has on a 2-game losing streak, drops to 9th. So he's out of that playoff category. He got obliterated by Joel. Absolutely just smashed. the Lions not having a good week hurt. A bold move by starting Anthony McFarland. I know you're in running back purgatory. I know when you get to bye weeks, it hurts. And you got to just squeeze people in. But the AI didn't do you justice on depth of running back. I mean, they were drafting everything but that. But yeah, congrats to Joel on his big victory there. It's exciting to see what this league is doing and going to. But right now, we have our very special guest. Unfortunately, Jake could not come on because we couldn't make it work scheduling-wise. He couldn't come on till a little after 8 tonight, and if that happens, I need to do it like 2 days before for editing's sake. I do have a wife. Jake didn't do anything wrong. I didn't inform him of that, so forgive him. However, I did phone a friend. They're not in the league, but they're a big personality that wants to know about our league, and they're part of this every day. So yeah, stay tuned for my guest. All right, we are here. We're back.
How do? How y'all doing out there?
With our guest. You got to see the intro right there. Stephen A. Smith. Welcome to the Innsbrooke Fantasy Podcast, my friend. And I don't think we hesitate. I think we just jump straight in and ask a few questions today. So here we go. How do you feel about the team that Lauren has put together? How do you feel about Lauren? They call me crazy. You looked at the league. You've been following us. How do you feel about it?
These boys are pretty damn bad. I mean, if we're going to be real about it.
Yep. This is going down as the worst season in the history of this franchise. This is as bad as it gets, y'all. But they stink nevertheless. I mean, if it stinks, okay? It is what it is. Man is trying to get fired. If he gets fired, ladies and gentlemen, he gets to walk out the door and keep his money. If he quits, he doesn't get to keep his money.
Bold take by Stephen A. You already know what Stephen A. says, Lauren. That's just where it goes. As we continue to move on and talk about teams, Stephen A., I would love to know right now, how do you feel about Samson's basketball game? There's a lot of rumors about his dribbling and skill sets that he brings to this group and this league, and a lot of things, a lot of allegations. What do you know about his basketball game? Can you tell us what you feel about his game and tell us how it is?
This man was a bona fide scrub. He can't play. No disrespect whatsoever, but I'm sorry to tell everybody the truth. The man cannot play the game of basketball. He has small hands. He can't catch the ball. He's got bad feet. He can't really move, even though he's mobile. Doesn't really know what he's doing. Doesn't have a post move that he puts to memory that he can do 2 times in a row. He has no game whatsoever. Plays no defense. Doesn't have the heart, the passion, or anything that comes with it.
God bless him, is a scrub. He can't handle the ball, can't post up, can't do anything, can't play defense.
All right. Well, seems that Stephen A. has the same opinion about your game, Samson, and must be true. These must not be allegations. These must be real life issues that you have. Our next questions is, that we're getting into the grid of the season. People are going down. People have bye weeks. People are needing guys. What free agent quarterbacks out there do you think that teams should be looking into? Which ones are available? Who's worth a pick? I mean, the cream of the crop is very small. What's left out there in the free agent market? Who do you think, Stephen A?
Nick Foles.
He's not going to be
Case Keenum.
anyway. He's good. Everyone knows that.
Blake Bortles.
yeah.
All right. Well, very interesting list of quarterbacks, but with the league this deep, that's about all that's available. I hope one of those guys gets signed in real life. Maybe just like Brett Maher. Maybe they can get on a team and benefit somebody some way. But interesting take. We have a guy in the league, Stephen A., and his name's Eric Wallen, a.k.a. Tuna Fish Sticks. He kind of got lucky with some things to begin the season with running backs, but I don't want to talk about his team necessarily. I want to know what you think about him as a person and him trying to overthrow Mr. Ken, Slobberknockers, the commissioner of the league. He was trying to overthrow him. He's trying to plant some conspiracy theories, trying to take over the organization of this league. What's your thoughts about that, Stephen A?
I'm going to do you a favor, my brother. I'm going to leave it to you, because if it comes out of my mouth, and I sit up there and I literally articulate the stuff that this man has done, since he has been the executive. I'm going to lose my mind. I ain't going to be able to do the rest of the show. I'm telling you right now. It comes out of my mouth. I'm not going to be able to control myself because I'm barely able to right now.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty common thought process across the league. We may have a couple co-conspirators there, but I think everybody feels the same way. As we're diving in and talking about more teams in this league and what they bring to the table, there's a guy named LB, Bad News Bears. He has made the unlawful mistake of keeping, this is a keeper league, obviously you get to keep 2 players. He's kept Cam Akers for several years now. Finally, he parted ways with him in midseason. I think it's over, unless he redrafts him and brings him back. But he kept Cam Akers for a few years, and I would love to know your thoughts on that. Why?
You make them smarter. You help them out. You try not to embarrass them because if they're dumb as a bag of bricks, they can't help that. It's not their fault. It's all love, LBJ. It's all love. April, May, July, August. I mean, when games ain't being played, they still manage to mess up stuff. It's not my fault.
Yeah, I agree. It's an interesting development by LB. We'll have to see how it goes. Maybe it won't happen, but if Cam Akers does end up on his team again, watch out. Very interesting. So at the beginning of the season, I predicted a certain someone to win it all. This certain someone hasn't been living up to those expectations so far this season. I would love to know what your thoughts are at this time in regards to Logan, Tux's Army, and his franchise at this time.
It doesn't take a Hall of Famer or a great player to realize how nonsensical and idiotic that looked. To be the veteran that he is, who's won his share of games, who's competed for championships, for him to allow to photobomb that, I don't get that. It makes no sense whatsoever.
No,
It's embarrassing as far as I'm concerned. Once again, it's the latest indication has disintegrated before our very eyes. You got to change everything.
Kobe said yesterday.
I'm trying to tell you right now, you got to fire everybody.
Kobe said yesterday.
Get rid of everybody.
Yeah, it's tough. It seems like it's in shambles, and it doesn't seem like it's something that's going to recover, but hey, it's never too late. I'm also, Logan is a son of Mr. Ken, the commissioner. Mr. Ken is currently the only undefeated powerhouse in this league. I'm not sure if Mr. Ken loses a game this season. What do you think, Stephen A? Does Mr. Ken lose a game?
Your argument is done. Right there. Right there's over. It ends right there.
Numbers didn't dip. And oh, by the way, the old man waving the pom-poms or whatever. I ain't one of those dudes.
All right, well, you heard it there first by Stephen A. I don't know if that is a prediction, but I do believe that might have been a spoiler alert. I have a kind of off-the-wall question about the league, or not about the league, actually, Stephen A. Who's your favorite music artist? I need to get to know a little bit about you. Who do you love right now in the music scene? All right, well, this is we're running out of time for your interview. I know you've got to get back to First Take. I know you got to get back to all your things. You've got a lot going on. NBA's cranked up tonight. You got to get there and get rolling. But the last question I want to ask you before we sign off here is, what are your thoughts? You're a diehard fan of the episodes, diehard fan of the league, diehard fan of the show. I appreciate you coming on. But what are your thoughts so far on the other guests that have appeared on this podcast this season? What do you think about them? Let us know.
You have idiots who called this show. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. What you got is guys, so what they do is they're talking with their friends, and they're not really calling to have a conversation. They're calling to provoke a reaction. Now, it's a sports conversation. Those who have real sports conversations don't really have a problem. Those who are idiots, those who just do stuff to get a reaction because they drinking in the middle of the day, okay, or getting high in the middle of the day, okay, those are the individuals. And you want me to tell you how you can detect who they are? You always hear noise in the background. There's always somebody else that they're communicating with. They'll call from a barbershop or a salon. They'll call from somewhere else, okay? And they hanging out with their buddies, and they really ain't calling for a conversation. They really calling for a reaction. And sometimes I get it. This is a sports show. You're gonna have a conversation. You call up to the show, you're gonna be ready. And if you ain't ready, I'm gonna hang up on you and go to the next caller who's ready, okay? Because I'm not interested in some love fest. I ain't no damn politician shaking hands and kissing babies. I don't give a damn. You call up on this show, you gotta be ready to go. And if you ain't ready, you're gonna get a dial tone, and I'm gonna put somebody on the line who is.
All right, and we're back from our interviews. Thank you, Stephen A., for coming on today at the last minute. I appreciate that. It means a lot. But yeah, let's look no further. Let's get into action. Now, our first matchup of the week this week is ETN Phone Home versus Chubby Chasin. We got Greg at 2-5, Zach at 3-4. This game has big implications to who is where. They almost can switch spots to that 10 and 13 spot, pending how it goes. Right now, by NFL Next Gen Stats prediction, it predicts that Zach wins 113-102. If we look at this game and break it down, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what Stroud does against Carolina for me. You know, Jalen Hurts versus Washington, good matchup. ETN, Warren, Miles Sanders, Najee. ETN's been going crazy, having some great weeks. Jamar Chase is off bye week on the other side. If I'm looking at this, Christian Watson, questionable. Got a little banged up, nicked up. Jonnu's been used, which is weird. I'm going to go ahead and predict this week that Greg pulls off the upset by the NFL's Next Gen Stats predictions. I think Greg pulls this one out of the hat, making things interesting, putting a lot of teams in the middle of the road. So I pick ETN Phone Home just because Jordan Addison and ETN, I think, carry his team here. And yeah, so that's just what I'm going with. Your next matchup is the Mean Machine versus That's What CD Said. Jonathan's 5-2, ranked 5th overall, versus Jordan's 2-5, ranked 12th overall. Now, Wood really needs a victory. Wood is sliding. The former champ is just, it's like he just had it all last year and just risked it all, and now they're all going down. Freebus is predicted to win 113-84. Now, something that I'm noticing on this is he still hasn't, Wood still hasn't made roster moves, like CD's still not in. Cowboys defense still isn't in. He's got, Trevor Lawrence isn't in. He's got a few guys that aren't in when you look at this overall. But I'm going to ride with the Freebus train here, though. He's on a 4-game win streak. He's hot. When you catch heat, when you catch fire, you got to ride the hot hand. And I think I'm going to ride with him on this one. I think I'm going to stick with the guy. We'll see what happens. Quarterback may be an issue, though. Is Tyrod still playing, or is Daniel Jones on the way back? We don't know. But I like what he's got over there. The only way that I feel like he would falter is if Tyreek Hill does get ruled out this week. There is a chance he didn't practice today. So a lot of question marks in this game. We'll have to see what happens. Honestly, Wood's got a few things that he's got to fix on his roster. But I think the running back room alone, if Jahmyr Gibbs gets the same workload that he did last week, will help him. And Derrick Henry is playing on a Atlanta defense that's questionable at times. But we'll see if Derrick Henry even plays. Now, if Derrick Henry gets traded and doesn't play this week, I'm changing my pick over to That's What CD Said. It could happen. We'll have to see. Your next matchup is Throw Some Debos on That versus America's team. Pawn is 4-3, 6 overall versus Hunter's 1-6, 15th overall team. Right now, NFL Next Gen Stats has Pawn predicted to win 112-103. When we break down this game, it really comes down to a question of what are we going to get from the running back room of both of these teams? Is Zach Moss going to get more carries, or is Taylor going to continue to chip away? Obviously, JT is going to continue to chip away. But he's got A.J. Dillon on the other side that kind of balances that out. Pacheco and Barkley. Barkley's playing a tough defense with the Jets, but also Pacheco's got Denver, who could go crazy on them. I don't know about Amari Cooper right now. That's a big question mark with Deshaun Watson out. P.J. Walker, I don't know. But Keenan Allen versus the Bears, I love that. DK after taking a week off is going to be solid. But Cleveland's defense is decent. Number 1 defense in the league, I think, by statistics right now. Pickens has been going crazy. I do like that. Kittle is the most bipolar fantasy tight end that you could possibly have. That's a ranked top 5. When I'm looking at this and breaking it down, I think it all comes down to Russell Wilson this week versus Josh Dobbs. Which one of those guys shows up? Both are playing tough defenses. I'll say this one is won by the quarterback position this week. So I'm going to go ahead and ride with Russ, and I'm going to say that Pond gets another win, and Hunter is still scraping trying to find those wins. But, yeah, I'm going to predict Pond. Your next matchup is the Huss versus Slobberknockers. Mr. Ken, a battle of the ages. I know Samson said that he would like to come on next week after this game. Right now, Samson's 4-3, 7 overall versus number 1 overall, 7-0 Ken. As I look at this, NFL Next Gen Stats breaks this down at 129 to 113 in Mr. Ken's favor. A big question is, can we get primetime Kirk in back-to-back weeks for Samson? I mean, Kirk Cousins was phenomenal last week. I mean, just absolute lights out. And can San Francisco figure it out? Because if not, Joe Burrow is for Mr. Ken this week, and he is going to do the same thing primetime Kirk did. Crazy looks right there. You got Brian Robinson and Javonte Williams versus Christian McCaffrey and Mattinson. And Christian McCaffrey is going to outscore all those guys, period, all three combined, even his own guy. I think McCaffrey holds that down. You got Deontay Johnson, Olave versus Amon-Ra St. Brown and Puka Nacua. Now, the issue is Olave going to play? He got in some trouble this week. Very funny video. Do you know who I am? I play for the Saints kind of thing. And the cop pretty much said your point. So does Olave play? I don't know. We'll see. But I do like the PPR machines in St. Brown and Nacua over there. Travis Kelce's clearly the best tight end in fantasy football and in real football. He's going to outscore Higbee, who plays Dallas. Gabe and Thielen. Thielen's had some big major games. Gabe's got quiet the last couple weeks. Can Gabe get back up there on the touchdowns? I don't know. We'll have to see. I like the Seahawks defense and the Chargers defensive plays. I'm going to go with Mr. Ken to remain undefeated, though. His roster from top to bottom, I mean, I don't know how you guys allowed this man to have such a roster like this, but it's solid, and he's got some great depth. He picked up some good pieces in the draft that were overlooked by others. I think Mr. Ken wins this one. I think it'll be closer than people think, but I do think he wins. Your next matchup is Tuna Fish Sticks versus a team has no name. Eric is 6-1, number 2 overall versus number 4 overall, 5-2 Tyler. Big game implications here. NFL Next Gen Stats right now has this one predicted to go to Tyler, 128 to 110. Honestly, it's going to be a great matchup. You got Pat Mahomes versus Tua, both great quarterbacks right now. Mixon and Brees versus Swift and Singletary. I don't like the Singletary play. Swift has been killing it, but Mixon and Brees are a better combo. Does Devontae Adams come back to life? I mean, I know he's miserable with the Raiders right now. Ayuk, does he get back? He's kind of been just average outside of a couple big games. Mark Andrews, Tank Dell, and then you got Michael Thomas, Cooper Kupp, Darren Waller. I mean, on the other side of the things, you got a couple guys that are getting up there in age. I'm going to predict Tyler to go ahead and win this one and actually move ahead of Eric in the rankings. I think Tyler moves up to 6-2 after this week, and Eric, this is where Eric will start to fall. He had a good run, but injuries and bye weeks, all that stuff's going to finally catch up to him. His running back room's going to finally catch up to him. I think Tyler starts to climb. I think Tyler has probably one of the better teams right now on paper that can compete with Mr. Ken's. As long as everyone stays healthy as possible, we'll have to see. Your next matchup is Bad News Bears. LB 2-5, 14 overall versus Taylor Stay on the Porch, 4-3, 8 overall. Right now, NFL Next Gen Stats has this one predicted to be 117 to 100 in favor of Taylor. And I honestly have to agree. It'll be interesting because you get Taylor's matchups with his quarterbacks Thursdays early. So you'll see Josh Allen versus Tampa and then Herbert versus Chicago. Herbert may have a game against Chicago. A lot of scrutiny over there. A lot of question marks, though, coming in the running back room for Taylor. A lot of questionable tags. Mostert didn't practice today. Kamara's got a questionable tag. But also on the other side, you got Josh Jacobs and Ingram for the Cardinals. Well, you don't know what the Cardinals are going to do. I imagine the Lions defense will be a little bit more prepared this week after the beatdown they got last week, so that'll be interesting to see. You got Sutton and Waddle versus Lockett and Palmer. Another great 1-2 punch combo there. I genuinely believe that that is a wash. I don't think the receiver room is going to make a big difference. Kincaid versus Everett. Everett's also questionable. They don't know if he's going to play, so that'll be interesting to see, but I do think Kincaid is he's with Knox getting hurt, he's going to be a solid option moving forward, a top 5 tight end in fantasy. So that's a good move there. Ramondre Stevenson versus Garrett Wilson. I think that'll be pretty much a wash as well. We'll have to see how that plays out. But if I'm predicting this one on paper, if Mostert and Kamara play, I think Taylor gets this one for sure. And I'm going to act like they're playing right now. So my prediction with those two guys playing, Taylor gets a 4-game win streak, moves up to 5-3, climbs the rankings, may jump a few people. Your next matchup is They Called Me Crazy versus I'm Just Ken. It's Lauren 0-7, dead last overall, versus Joel, number 3 overall, 5-2. Right now, NFL Next Gen Stats has this one predicted to go 118-90 to Joel. The biggest question marks out of Joel's roster right now is his quarterback position. I mean, he's playing Jordan Love. I don't like the move as a move right now. I'd rather play Dak, I think, in this scenario. I'm going to say that every week. I think you should just ride with Dak. I don't know the thought process on Jordan Love. I don't know if that's the guy. I think he's going to get replaced. Maybe not this year. They'll let him ride for the year, but I don't think he's long-term the answer. Desmond Ridder, same scenario. I don't think he's the guy, but we'll figure it out. You got Cook and Walker versus Taylor and Robinson. Both great running back rooms. I mean, as long as Bijan plays this week, it'll be an interesting draw there. Bold move with Julio Jones and Drake London versus Mike Evans and Diggs. I like Joel's receiver room much better. I like his tight end room better with Kmet versus Hill. Now not Tyreek. Wrong guy. Different all the way around. Taysom Hill did have a good point week last week. He can do those from time to time. It depends what the production is. But I don't know. I think I'm going to rock with Cole Kmet here. Your next is the flex with Algier versus Devontae. I like Devontae's matchup. The Ravens defense catches a bad team on a good week. I do think this is an easy win this week for Joel to move him up to 6-2, possibly number 2 overall. And Lauren continues just to sink and sink and sink. But it's all love, Lauren. You just got some bad breaks. I don't hate your roster as entirely much as others do. You just got in a bad situation with some games. Your last matchup is AI Not Iverson versus Tux's Army. Jake at 4-3, 9th overall versus Logan 2-5, 11th overall. I'm going to go ahead and pinpoint this as the game of the week. Right now, NFL Next Gen Stats is predicting it to be 117-116 in Logan's favor. A very tight and close game. Logan really needs this win. So does Jake. Jake's kind of gone on a 2-game losing streak, and they both really need these wins. Let's break this game down. Lamar versus Goff. I feel like Goff is going to be on a comeback week this week. He's got Monday Night Football against the Raiders. That's a good time to have it. Montgomery, they're saying he could come back possibly. If he does, another great matchup. Eckler versus the Bears, great matchup. Pollard, Pierce, Godwin, Kirk, Pittman, McLaurin, Schultz, Hawkinson. This is a really great matchup. Even split teams. Flip a coin. That's who's probably going to win. But I'm going to predict this one to come down to one player and one player only. TJ Hawkinson. If he can have a big week again, I feel like TJ Hawkinson will help Logan secure this victory. That's the biggest difference I see. I think Pierce has a good week against Carolina to kind of walk out on Pollard a little bit. But Hawkinson will be the key component of Logan's victory. I'm going to predict that Logan does pull off this victory to get a 2-game win streak to go up to 3-5. Just based off, I feel like his roster is just a smidge more complete. This game will be very fun to watch. I do think it'll come down to Monday night, and we'll have to wait and see after the game what happens. But yeah, I got Logan winning that one in what could possibly be a tight and close matchup. Now, before we get off here today, I wanted to apologize for not as many edits between the scenes here with our guest. We had to do some special things, so I apologize for that. But I do want to look at the overall standings. In the SEC division right now, you've got Slobberknockers that I pretty much think has secured that division at 7-0. Even if he loses a couple, I don't think he's going to lose that division at this point. I would go ahead and put that crown on Mr. Ken's head.
Gay!
I'm going to call that now. I just don't foresee anybody in that division really doing it. I mean, one of them can make wild card or something, but I think Mr. Ken's got that locked. Big Ten Conference. This conference is interesting to me. I still feel like this is any man's game. Right now, the Mean Machine sits at top at 5-2. Throw some Debo's 4-3. The Huss 4-3. ETN phone home 2-5. Could be a couple more games, win or lose there with that swing. He's been close on a few. But yeah, this division is going to be an interesting to watch and see. I do think that Freebus somehow pulls this out in the end. He gets the division win and wins that division for sure. But yeah, Big Ten I feel like will go to Freebus. But yeah, we'll have to see. Your ACC division, another close one. You got Joel at 5-2, Tyler at 5-2. You've got Taylor at 4-3 and Logan at 2-5. Another close matchup here. I think this one's going to be tougher to predict because the points scored are significantly different from the other one. These are a lot more tight. Points scored games. I mean, this could go any way. I mean, right now Tyler is in 2 with the 3rd most points in this division scored for. I think Joel does pull this division out. I think his depth helps him, and that's going to be a big deal for the playoffs. So Joel wins this division in the end is my prediction right now, but I foresee Tyler possibly winning it all still. Even if Joel wins the division, Tyler's team's stout. Obviously, my prediction was Logan at the beginning of the year to win it all. Oh, well, he's sitting lonely at the bottom. I'm hoping he can climb. There's a lot of season left. He can still do some things, make some noise. But yeah, having those division wins out of the way already kind of hurts. So the Pac-4 right now is ran by Eric at 6-1. I would almost want to say that Eric's got a lot, but I don't want to because I feel like Eric's about to go on a run of losses. Which gives hope for people like LB.
We want the gold, sucker! Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga!
I should point out for the record, Stevie Ray, look at this. Take a look. We're talking about the...
I do think Lauren is out of the playoff race, but he's not out of the comedy race. He could find a way to get out of that comedy still if he can just pick up a win or two. A lot of teams in the middle of the road here. It could be any man's game. Now, if the playoffs were to start today, Mr. Ken would definitely have the number 1 seed locked in. Your number 2 would be Tuna Fish Sticks at this time. I don't think that ends that way. Number 3 is Joel, I'm Just Ken. Number 4 is Freebus, the Mean Machine. 5 is Tyler, a team has no name. And 6 is throw some Debo's on that. I will say, I can't remember if there's reseeding for the best teams in the playoffs or not, or if it just goes by the bracket. But if it just goes by the bracket, I feel bad for the draw Mr. Ken has here with 4 and 5. I mean, that's a tough 4 and 5 seed with Mean Machine and a team has no name. Of course, Eric somehow gets the easier of the 2 draws. Not saying those other 2 teams are that bad. I'm just saying those are 2 big teams that Mr. Ken would have to play there. Interesting playoff scenario. Interesting look in the league. Thank you all for tuning in again. Like I said, I apologize. There's not as many edits in between my predictions and stuff this week. Little tired, little gas, but hey, I appreciate you all and everything you do. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for tuning in. Tune in next week. We'll catch you then.
Recording over?
Yeah, it's over.
Okay. How'd you like it?